Welcome to Student Circles. This weekend, we closed out our series, Ancient Future, Practicing the Way of Jesus. And what we did through this series was look back at those who went before us, those who walked the ancient path to become learners, students, disciples of the one we follow, to practice the way of Jesus, to learn it, try it, and grow in it. And the whole point of this series has been to stir revival in our hearts, to awaken us to life, to get us off the wide road of the world, the road of compromise, drift, and complacency, and awaken us to the narrow road, the ancient path, Jesus, and to follow him into abundant life. So here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna jump into a 5-minute series recap, 10 weeks of Ancient Future in 5 minutes. So settle in, grab your PB&J, and let this recap remind you of all that Jesus has spoken and everything that he's shown you through this series.
We are starting a new series called The Ancient Future, Practicing the Way of Jesus. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. He says, hey, you're at a crossroads, and there's only 2 paths in front of you. One of those paths is the modern way of this world. It is the way of comfort and convenience and pleasure. This is the path of least resistance and personal happiness. And it is really easy to get on, and it is really hard to get off. But in the end, it leads to destruction. He says, but then there's an ancient path, a good way, a narrow road with a small gate. And this path whispers out to you, come, and you will find rest for your souls. Come lose your life, and you will find it. Come be a servant, and you'll be great. Come die, that you might live. And this is the path of greatest resistance and personal holiness. And this path is really hard to get on, and it's really easy to get off, but this is the path of life. It's 2 roads. We create a 3rd road. There's no 3rd road. There's the modern road of this world. There's the ancient path of Jesus. There is not I'm a lukewarm Christian road. It doesn't exist. We think it does. And we trick ourselves as if it does to make ourselves feel good about ourselves. There is no middle road. There's an ancient path, or there's a modern road. You stand at a crossroad. In fact, every decision in life is crossroad. To choose to continue down the ancient path or to choose to continue down the modern road of this world, whichever one you're on. And at any point in time, you get the freedom to change. And so daily, it's about inviting God into my life to say, God, today, show me your ways and teach me your paths. The ancient path is the way of faith. Faith is being sure of what you hope for, certain of what you do not see. Faith is living from the invisible towards the visible. Faith is anchored in the character and the nature of God. Faith is being more focused on the superior realities of the kingdom than the inferior realities of this world. Faith is willing to follow and trust God for the results. Faith is the belief in the goodness of God in the midst of our circumstances, in spite of our circumstances. Because the ancient path is a path of hope. Hope is the confident expectation of the goodness of God. Hope is the joyful anticipation of the goodness of God. Hope is the belief that God's kingdom has come and more of it is coming. Hope is the belief that God is good and that God is good to me. Prayer is the way of the ancient path. Prayer is about talking to God and giving him our desires and our pains and our burdens and our concerns and our worries. And then God gives us his burdens and his passions and his desires and his life. It's in prayer where his ways become our ways and his thoughts become our thoughts and his passions become our passions, and his life becomes our life. Prayer is primarily about enjoying God. See, radical generosity is the ancient path. You see, what Jesus is telling us is that money is supposed to be a tool and God is supposed to be our treasure. That we're supposed to use money as a tool to seek after God, our treasure, and use it for the good of others and the glory of God. The problem is for a lot of us is we see money as our treasure and God as our tool. And the only way to break free from the love of money is to live a life of radical generosity and choose to seek after God with everything that you've got. And one of the ways of Jesus on this ancient path is a lifestyle of passionate mission. You see, the church doesn't have a mission. The mission has a church. God didn't create a church and then say, what should I do with them? I know, let's make them busy with a mission. He had a mission. And so he birthed the church to walk out that mission. You see, this entire series could be summarized in this. This is a series of lordship. It's a series of obedience. It's a series of whom and what are you going to trust, and whom or what are you going to choose? Because literally every one of these two paths, it's a choice, and you make a decision of your life, and only you get to choose for you which way you want to go. And what becomes normal and acceptable, what becomes the way that you live your life.
So what if there's a better way to live? What if there's an ancient path through this modern world that actually leads us to find true rest? The words of God, making Jesus Lord of our lives, having an unshakable faith, anchoring ourselves in hope, praying the reality of on earth as it is in heaven, slowing down to the divine invitations from Jesus, walking out radical generosity, serving, building, inviting others to the mission of God, knowing that there is more for you than against you, and that there's no third road. Jeremiah 6:16. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. The ancient future is your way through this modern world. And to help you on your journey, we're going to spend some time together walking through some specific questions. So let's be honest with ourselves, and let's take at least one step down the ancient path with Jesus today.